summit conference in Istanbul and the resolutions which were adopted on Jerusalem, it made it a little easier for those Muslim countries which were members of the OIC and members of the UN and who were poor and who were dependent on US aid to stand up and say no and vote in favor of the resolution. Egypt, for example, Egypt voted against Trump. I think some of the credit therefore must go to everyone of Egypt. Yes, next one.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Sheikh. Next question, Siraj, come on.
Sheikh, have you had any more dreams about nuclear war?
Yes, I had, I think maybe one or two other dreams of nuclear war, which has only confirmed to me that it's only a matter of time. It's coming. Yeah.
Thank you, Sheikh. So, Shahid?
No, nothing very special, just regarding the curiosity. What's the future you are seeing about Pakistan?
What?
What is the future of Pakistan you are seeing? In the
We
long
must
run?
always look at long term and short term. Long term, I see no future for Pakistan. Long term, I see the future for the Khilafah. Okay? Khilafah. And so those who hook their wagon to Pakistan and say, Pakistan, live or die, I am for Pakistan, I'm sorry for them. But if you hook your wagon to the Quran, you're safe. Alright? That's long term. And the Muslims of that subcontinent have the capacity to play a strategic role in Akhir Zaman is clear to me, because Dajjal has consistently attacked them. From day one they've been attack. And it is such a sorrowful thing. It pains me so much that Dajjal should have succeeded in getting a man like Dr. Muhammad Iqbal to also do things that was beneficial to Dajjal. Yes, I feel so pained to say it because I have so much love for Iqbal. I have so much admiration for his scholarship. He was such a brilliant scholar and a brilliant thinker. So all that I can say is I don't think that there was anything hypocritical in the heart of Iqbal. There was hypocrisy or there was kufr and these things in the heart. I have to say, however, painfully so, that I think he was taken for a ride. This is the best that I can say for him. He was taken for a ride. I don't want to say anything worse than that, no. Pakistan in the short term, it is pleasing to me that the Pakistan armed forces, at least, I don't know about the Pakistan government, is beginning to realize that Russia is a more faithful friend than the United States could ever be. That when a Russian government keeps its word, it'll keep its word. You can't say the same for Washington. Yeah. If the Pakistan armed forces were to continue on this path, I think they will win the hearts of the Pakistani people. The Pakistani people love Islam. They have been denied the freedom to have a government of their own for all through their history. The governments of Pakistan have always been made in Washington. And anyone who stood up to Washington was always assassinated. This is why I pray that Allah might keep Imran Khan alive. I have never met with him, but he was an honest cricketer. And I believe an honest cricketer will be better than the crooked politicians that they have in Pakistan. They are so crooked, I don't know how they can walk. They should have a walking stick to walk. So crooked they are. And the Pakistani people know that. But they go in this stupid thing called elections, And they sell their votes, they sell their votes, they sell their votes like cattle. And these people keep on going. And of course they are rigged elections. That's why they have secret balloting. So that you could rig an election. That's why you have secret balloting. So in the short term, I'm happy to see the armed forces of Pakistan, at least, not the government, showing some sensibility now, some intelligence. They're drawing closer to Russia and recognizing Russia to be a more faithful friend and ally than Washington.
Thank you, Sheikh, for your answer there. What we'll do, we'll just take a 15 minutes break on Q&As. And once we return, we'll do the last session for maybe 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, 30 minutes, last session, and then we'll continue with the last session for about 30 minutes or so. We'll have 15 minutes break now. Okay?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillahi awwaluhu wa akhiru. Okay, we have our last session now tonight for this day of ours in Birmingham in Britain. And I'm happy to be with you and happy to try to help with your questions. So who's next?
Okay, so thank you, Sheikh. Next question will be asked by...
Maulana, what's your opinion on Fethullah Gulen and the feud between him and Erdogan? Any opinion?
What is my opinion of the Sheikh, the Sufi Sheikh, Fethullah Gulen, and his relationship with the president of Turkey, Erdogan? I don't think I know enough about this scholar of Islam and this Sufi Sheikh Fethullah Gulen to be able to offer a learned comment on him. I do know that Erdogan used to be his disciple and that they were all perhaps disciples of Najmullah Erbakan, was his name? Najmuddin, sorry. The former leader of Turkey, Najmuddin Erbakan, who died. And that there was a parting of ways between the two men, between Erdogan and Gulen. It remains for me a mystery. It seems to me as though there is so much between the lines that I don't know about, of the actual story of what happened 1 year ago when an attempted coup d'etat took place in Turkey. And Erdogan escaped and triumphed, and he blamed Fethullah Gulen for it. And Russia tipped off Erdogan about the coup d'etat. And as a consequence of that tipping off, from that moment Erdogan now became more inclined towards turning towards Russia. And he then went to Moscow himself and apologized to Russia for the shooting down of the Russian aircraft, which was a condition that Russia had. And since then he has been moving closer and closer to Russia. He has effectively given up his plan for Syria after rivers of blood had flowed, and he realized that he could not succeed in Syria. So he gave up his plan for Syria now, and he has joined with Turkey and with Iran and with Russia in now trying to build a triangle, Russia, Turkey, and Iran, to resolve the problem of Syria, and they have largely succeeded so far. I don't know, I'll probably have to wait until the next world to know the full story of that attempted coup d'etat, which resulted in such a fundamental change in Turkish foreign policy. Yeah.
Thank you, Sheikh, for your answer. Next question will be.
There is a hadith that I could be wrong about, I will not be quoting it like properly, that a man will be a mu'min in the day and a kafir in the night, and a mu'min in the night and a kafir in the day. How can we know that, am I not that person who is affected by it?
The hadith is that a man will go to sleep as a mu'min and wake up as a kafir. And a man will wake up as a mu'min and go to sleep as a kafir. It is not to be understood literally. No. It is a hadith which qualifies as delivering the mother of all warnings to you. That events are going to unfold so rapidly and so universally in the world, which are directed towards your faith, to destroy your faith, to misguide you, that it is going to be a very dangerous world in which to live. That's my first comment. But because of another hadith, I have come to the conclusion that the greater the danger exists, the greatest dangers exist in cities, and the minimum dangers exist in the remote countryside for those who want to preserve faith. So this is a hadith which we should consider very carefully when we choose to decide to continue to live in the big cities. We are risking losing our faith. Yeah.
Sheikh. Next question.
Okay, I had one quick. Go on, you go ahead.
You said earlier on that Pax Britannica lasted for about 300 to 400 years, and since Pax Americana probably won't even last 100 years, would it be right to say that Pax Judaica will be even shorter, since it goes from a day that's like a year to a month
I
to
do
a
not
week?
recall ever having said that Pax Britannica lasted for so many years. If you could kindly send me the evidence. I have never said it.
When you were asked the question, so.
No, I have never said that Pax Britannica lasted for so many years. It seems to me that, yes, you're right. It seems to me that Britain, so I never said that a day like a year lasted for so many years. I never said that, never. But you're right, Pax Britannica could not have lasted for more than 300 to 400 years. That's easy to say. But a day like a year, I've never said how long it lasted. Never. Spain was a more powerful country than Britain. Portugal was a more powerful country than Britain. And the Pope divided the world between Spain and Portugal. Half for Spain and half for Portugal. And the Pope, of course, you know, is infallible. He doesn't make mistakes. And then Holland was a more powerful country than Britain. Germany was a more powerful country than Britain. They were all rivals with Britain. France was a rival with Britain. And it was only after Britain began to establish her naval dominance, and started taking control strategically important naval ports around the world. I think only then could you see the beginnings of a Pax Britannica. And of course Pax Britannica lasted only until when the First World War took place, it was plain. By the time of the First World War, it was plain. Britain was no longer the ruling state of the world. If the United States had not intervened, Britain would have been defeated in the First World War. Yeah. So yes, you're correct that Pax Britannica lasted for about 300 to 400 years, and maybe one of the bright students here in Britain will be able to refine that and look to see exactly how much time, a more precise time frame than I'm giving now. I'm just saying about 300 to 400 years, because I've not done the research. And Pax Americana, you can see America. I'm not saying how long a day like a month was, I don't know. But within that time frame, yes, Pax Americana emerged. And by the time of the First World War, Pax Americana was already establishing its credentials. Okay, Pax Americana. If the United States had not intervened in the First World War, Britain would have been defeated. So when do we clearly find even evidence that Pax Britannica has now come? It will have to be sometime between the First and the Second World War. All right, but that's for another scholar, not for me. And now we're seeing the evidence that Pax Americana is on the decline. And it must be tremendously embarrassing to the United States of America that the man who they had contemptuously referred to as a little rocket man, little rocket man, he has audaciously slapped the Americans on their face every time they opened their mouth. Every time they opened their mouth, he slapped them on their face. And they could do nothing except go to the Security Council for another resolution on economic sanctions. They can't shower, they can't shoot a single bullet at him. Not one. Only economic sanctions. And you know, over there you can vote for economic sanctions, and underneath the table you could pass to Korea whatever they want to pass. Yeah. So, paper resolutions. They passed so many sanctions on Russia. Russia is still alive and prospering. They put sanctions on Iran. Iran is still there. Good. So you can put all these sanctions on Korea, but there are those in the world who will be able to go underneath the table and give the Koreans, so they will be able to survive. Yeah. So it must be tremendously embarrassing to the Pax Americana. The little rocket man could put them to shame. The writing is on the wall. Pax America is in decline. Okay? But I don't think that we can write off Pax Americana while the US dollar is still the international currency. We have to see the collapse of the US dollar. And I believe that cryptocurrency has come to ensure that the US dollar has what may be called a soft landing. They don't want to crash. It'll cause chaos in the United States and anarchy and civil war, because you know Americans have guns. Oh yes, they have lots of guns around, and you can't take it away from them. No. So if the US dollar were to crash, it could result in anarchy in the United States. So they have to ensure that the US dollar has a soft landing, and that's why they have this cryptocurrency at this time. I think the first and most important function of cryptocurrencies and bitcoins and so on is to demolish the US dollar, but to do so that it has a soft landing. I don't know therefore how long the Pax Americana will last, and therefore I can't say how long Pax Judaica will last, if they succeed with Pax Judaica.
Next one.
Okay, my question was, our brother said recently that after the Malhama, a Muslim army will conquer Constantinople. Now a Christian army can't do that, but so the Orthodox Christians, they need the Muslims just as much as we need them. Could you explain more about that?
I'm glad that you asked that question about the conquest of Constantinople, because I have to admit that I was perhaps lazy, intellectually lazy, and that it was not an adequate analysis of the hadith that I have lived with for these last few years. I have said so many times, I don't see any significance in a conquest of Constantinople after the Malhama, other than a military significance, and that is that the Russian Navy will then be able to pass through the Bosphorus, because NATO, goodbye to NATO. But I'm now beginning to realize that no, there's more to it than I had thought. And that is that Constantinople is the most important city in the world for the Orthodox Christian after Jerusalem. And so the conquest of Constantinople after the Malhama must have more than military significance. It must have significance for relations between Islam and the Orthodox Christian world. And so now I would like to add to my analysis to say that the conquest of Constantinople, which is prophesied by Nabi Muhammad ﷺ, after the Malhama, will be meant to put the icing on the cake, to cement the alliance between Muslims and Orthodox Christians. That the city will unite us, between of us. And this will be the crowning event to fulfill what is in the Quran, where Allah says, "Ba'adawuzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, wala tajidanna aqrabahum mawaddatan lilladhina amanu alladhina qalu inna nasara ila akhir al-ayah." But I have already commented many times on this ayah of the Quran, so no need to do that now. Finally, I'm still thinking on the subject. It's a good thing, to think. Good thing. I'm still thinking on the subject, and we pray that Allah in His kindness may guide us all to more knowledge and understanding. Ameen. I'm still thinking now that if Constantinople is to be conquered, and the Christians are involved in that conquest of Constantinople, Dajjal will have a field day in uniting the whole world of Islam against the Christians. The Muslims will be taken for a ride. And so the conquest of Constantinople, which I had thought would be on the basis of an alliance between Muslims and Christians, no, I don't think so anymore. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, "La taftahanna al-Constantiniya." And therefore he was referring to a Muslim army. La taftahanna, you will most certainly conquer Constantinople. So he's referring to a Muslim army conquering Constantinople. وَلَنِعْمَ الْأَمِيرُ آمِرُهَا وَلَنِعْمَ الْجَيْشُ ذَلِكَ الْجَيْشِ. He's referring to a Muslim army. So I have to revise my opinion. And I have to say and to advise to the Christian world, to Russia and to the Balkans and so on, please do not intervene. You must stay aside and must not intervene at all. Let us do the work. We have to conquer the city without any Christian being involved in the battle. This is my message to Russia, and I hope Russia will hear me. This is my message to the Orthodox, to Greece, and to the Orthodox Christian world. Our Prophet has prophesied that a Muslim army will conquer Constantinople. After we have conquered Constantinople, then we will say to the Christian, this is your church, your cathedral, and we hand it back to them. And we then restore to the name of the city, the name of Constantinople. The Muslim-Christian alliance, therefore, is not the alliance that will conquer Constantinople. The Muslim-Christian alliance is the alliance that will conquer Jerusalem, inshallah.
Okay. Sheikh, for the answer? Next question by sister.
I just wanted to ask Sheikh about I just wanted to ask, recently the Trump administration is asking that Abu Dis be the capital of a future Palestinian state. But the Palestinian administration has already sold out most of the land to Israel, you know, being Saeed Erekat, who's even now regained on all the promises that they've made to the Palestinian people. Would it not be better then for the Palestinian people to actually be completely part of Israel, to be able to have some human rights and rights for themselves, rather than accept a capital like Abu Dis or somewhere in the West Bank rather than Jerusalem?
Explain to me the question.
Just,
You didn't hear the question?
Yes, I heard the question.
Okay.
She's asking if for the Palestinian people, wouldn't it be better off living in a one-state solution under Israel, so at least they will get any human rights and within Israel if they just resolute for now to live in a one-state solution in Israel?
The Palestinian people would be better off if they were to include now as part of their overall strategy, since Trump did what he did, to now focus not on East Jerusalem as the capital of a future Palestinian state. No. Put that in a place that I fondly refer to as cold storage. And now come forward with a better strategy. That we, the Palestinian people, Christian and Muslim, say to you from the land of Palestine, that we now want to negotiate on Jerusalem. We're not concerned about the rest of Palestine at this time. We are concerned about Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the front burner thanks to a man named Donald Trump. And our strategy is to say that Jerusalem is the most important city to the Christians of the world, and no one will defer that. And Jerusalem is the most important city for the Jews, and no one will defer with that. And we want to tell the world, for the Muslim in Akhiru Zaman, Jerusalem is more important than Makkah and Medina. Right? And so, because we have 5 rupees of intelligence, and Donald Trump doesn't seem to have even 1 rupee of intelligence, and we feel sadness for the American people, we want to say to the American people, and we don't know whether CNN will convey this message, or the New York Times will convey this message, or the Washington Post will convey this message, or the London Times. So we are praying to the Lord God to send some pigeons who will take this message to you in America. That we are suggesting to you that the 3 faiths should share Jerusalem on the basis of political and religious equality and mutual respect for each other. And we hope that in offering this sensible and intelligent and wise solution will not be offending anyone or stepping on any toes. What should be the legal framework is a matter which can be discussed subsequently. But our initial suggestion to the world today, thanks to Donald Trump, we thank you, Mr. President, is to say that the 3 faiths must share Jerusalem peacefully. Full stop. That is called strategy.
That's what I was saying, because at the moment, the Palestinian negotiator for so many years, Saeed Erekat, he gave the land away, so now Jerusalem should be of importance now.
They will not listen to me.
Yeah.
No, they will not listen to me. But the good news is that some of the young people here in Britain who graduated from the Darul Ulooms, that they might listen to me. And tomorrow you might have a galaxy of Islamic scholars here who will dazzle the world and teach the Palestinians a few lessons. Yeah.
It all comes from all your guidance anyway, so definitely.
This is strategy. And if you use this strategy, you put the Zionists on the defensive. because it makes sense. We want to share the city in peace. We want to share the city, therefore, on the basis of political and religious equality and mutual respect. Let us then proceed to a legal framework for a city-state, a plural model of a city-state. Let the legal scholars work on the framework.
Very nice for a Muslim leader like Putin did when he reached out to the American people. He wrote an open letter to the American people when the Syrian chemical weapons, we had all the fiasco with the UN and the lies about who actually caused the so-called chemical attack. Putin actually checkmated America when he wrote the open letter to the American people explaining his actions, and it just endeared him to them. So if we could have even a Muslim representative actually speak up like this, and rather than the administration, because that's been selected, but to actually listen, speak to the American people, and I think that would touch their hearts more.
The Russian president and the Russian foreign minister stand at the highest pedestal in the world today, with no Muslim leader, none, with the possible exception of Ayatollah Khamenei in Iran. None of them even close to the brilliance of statecraft of Russia today, and the brilliance of the president and of the foreign minister. Nothing. The United States has been left far behind by Russian diplomacy, yes. And I am a simple voice just suggesting to the world of Islamic scholarship, here is strategy. And Trump has given you the chance.
Yeah.
Now that he has made this stupid move, he's given you the chance. Do it now. Offer to the world, this is our solution. The Zionists will have no reply.
Thank you, Sheikh, for the answer. We'll just do one more question to end the session today.
Maulana, the Muslims don't recognize the importance of Jerusalem because of a hadith that is being propagated, that when you offer salah in the Haram, Makkah, it's 100,000, in Medina 50,000, and in Jerusalem, Baitul Maqdis, 10 or 20,000. So based on this, this has been circulating and propagating for many years. What is your opinion on this?
I have no comment. I prefer to go to the Quran first. I have done that consistently. And when I go to the Quran, and then go to the hadith which supports the Quran, I have come to the conclusion, which I have been shouting from the mountaintops of late, that the most important city in the world in Akhir Zaman for a Muslim is not Medina or Yathrib. And since it is not Yathrib, Makkah has a status even lower than Yathrib in Akhir Zaman. The most important city of the world for a Muslim in Akhir Zaman is Jerusalem. If there is any hadith which is in conflict with that, I will disregard it.
Thank you, Sheikh, for your answers.